Brad Stevens is moving quietly, but nothing about what is coming next in Boston is small. The idea that this season would be a pause, a gap year, or a strategic retreat is officially dead. The Celtics have already flipped that narrative. Despite Jason Tatum's injury and key off-season departure, this roster forced the league to pay attention. What was supposed to be a step back turned into a statement. Boston is competing now, and more importantly, positioning itself for something much bigger. Before we go any further, stop for a second. If you want to stay ahead of every move, every signal, and every pressure point around this franchise, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the hype button right now. What is building here is not casual, and you do not want to miss what comes next. Over the past weeks, reporting made it clear that Boston was not interested in selling. Names tied to serious money and serious impact surfaced, including Jaren Jackson Jr. and Rudy Gobert. That told us everything about intent. But the move that actually happened said even more. Trading Anthony Simons for Nikola Vučević was not about the short-term splat. It was a calculated step. Boston paid a valuable second-round pick, yes, but in return, they slipped under the first apron, protected every future first-round pick, and added a large, expiring contract worth $21.5 million. On top of that, they created a massive traded player exception tied to Simons' salary, worth more than $27 million. That is not retreat. That is preparation. This front office understood timing. Instead of forcing a deadline move that would limit flexibility, they chose patience. The Celtics still have a real chance to make noise in the playoff, especially if Tatum returns. But even if this season does not end in a champion, the infrastructure for the next run is already built. No trade restriction, a near $30 million exception, a clean asset chest filled with first and second round picks. That is power in this league. Looking ahead, the contract sheet tells the real story. Only Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard, and minimum or rookie deals are guaranteed next season. That is control. That is optionality. Whether it is one true star or two high-level pieces in the mold of past championship swing, everything is on the table. Boston may look calm right now, but this is the quiet before a very loud offseason. And the question that should make every contender nervous is simple. When Brad Stevens finally pushes his chips back in, who is going to be ready for the scale of the Celtics' next move? The Boston Celtics did not just make a move before the trade deadline. They sent a message by moving Anthony Simons and a second-round pick to Chicago for Nikola Vučević and another second-round pick. Boston addressed an obvious need in the frontcourt while quietly reshaping its future. The reaction around the league was immediate, but one voice carried far more weight than the rest. A voice that knows exactly what winning in Boston demands. Paul Pierce does not speak casually about the Celtics. When he talks, people listen. And his reaction to the Vucevic trade was not cautious. It was direct, confident, and for many fans, surprising. Pierce made it clear that this move was not about depth alone. In his view, it was about legitimacy, about signaling that this team is not just surviving the season without Jason Tatum, but actively positioning itself to matter in the playoff. Pierce pointed it to the obvious first. Vucevic gives Boston a real presence at the 5. Size, experience, and a player who's been an all-star, someone coaches can trust when the pressure rises. He acknowledged the growth of Neemias Queta, but drew a sharp line between promise and reliability. That distinction matters in the posts. Pierce went further, highlighting how Vucevic's ability to score inside and stretch the floor eases the burden on Jaylen Brown, who has carried the offense night after night. But the tone changed when Pierce stopped analyzing and started projecting. In his words, with Vucevic in the mix, the Celtics could come out of the Eastern Conference. That was not framed as hype. It was framed as belief. Belief rooted in roster balance, matchup flexibility, and the reality of a wide-open East. The early returns only fueled that narrative. Boston beat Dallas the same night the trade became official, then dominated Houston the following evening. 65 rebounds, control of the paint, physical authority against one of the league's strongest rebounding teams. The Celtics did not look like a team adjusting. They looked like a team unlocking another gear. There is also the part few fans talk about loudly, but front offices obsess over. The financial side, Boston saved close to $5 million, slipped below the first apron, and regained flexibility that could matter again very soon. This was not a one-dimensional decision. It was layered. Competitive now, adaptable later. Paul Pierce has seen championship paths up close. He knows when a roster is pretending and when it is dangerous. His statement was not nostalgia, it was a warning. If this move really changes the ceiling of this team, and if Vucevic delivers exactly what Pierce believes he will, then the question becomes unavoidable. Are the Celtics quietly assembling a roster capable of doing what no one expected just weeks ago? And are we about to witness the moment where belief turns into a real Eastern Conference takeover? The Boston Celtics did not approach the trade deadline emotional. They approached it with intent. When Nikola Vučević changed teams, the immediate reaction focused on contrasts and names moved. But the real question goes deeper. What exactly do the Celtics gain with this move? And why does it matter right now? Around the league, Vucevic is known as an ultimate professional. That label is not marketing. It comes from teammates who have shared locker rooms, pressure, and difficult seasons. In Chicago, his departure hit hard because of what he represents daily. Consistency, accountability, reliability. Those traits do not always show up in a box score, but they surface every night in meaningful games. For Boston, the timing is critical. Even with Neemias Queta and Luka Garza exceeding expectation, the Celtics had a clear gap in the front court. They needed size that could be trusted. They needed experience that travels into playoff series. Vucevic brings both. He adds scoring in the paint, spacing from the perimeter, and a veteran presence who understands how to operate when defenses tighten. There is also the business, and it matters. By swapping Anthony Simons for Vucevic, Boston cut roughly $6 million in salary. That move pushed the Celtics below the first apron of the luxury tax and saved more than $20 million in tax penalties. That is flexibility, not hesitation. It signals planning, not panic. Most importantly, this trade confirms what the standings have already suggested. This is not a gap year. At 31 wins and 18 losses, Boston has been one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. Making this move instead of simply dumping salary shows belief from the front office. Belief that this group can make noise now, whether Jason Tatum returns later this season or not. Vucevic changes how opponents prepare. He forces defenses to guard the paint honestly. He absorbs physical matchups that wear teams down over a series. He creates space for Jaylen Brown and the perimeter scorer, and he does it without demanding touches or headline. As the playoffs approach, these details become decisive. Depth turns into leverage, experience turns into execution, and patience at the deadline often reveals itself in May. So here is the real question as Boston moves forward. Did the Celtics just add a role player, or did they quietly secure the missing piece that stabilizes everything when the games matter most? If you want to stay locked in on every move, every signal, and every consequence, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the hype button now. Because what the Celtics gain with Nikola Vučević may only become obvious when the pressure is at its highest.